Hey there, and welcome to That's Audacious, where we share entrepreneurial stories from amazing leaders to inspire and motivate you to be bold, brave, and audacious. I'm your host, Lauren Clemett, the brand navigator, here to share stories that will make you say, well, that's audacious. Hello, and today on the podcast, we have the fabulous Christine Ennis, who is a visionary entrepreneur, a storyteller, and the CEO and founder of the Corporate Escapist. And I first met Christine many years ago when she was just starting out, and she'd done exactly that. She'd escaped the corporate world and she was building her own empire. She's got a renowned media company now that's dedicated to harnessing the power of storytelling and helping entrepreneurs to attract their ideal clients. Woohoo! She's also the founder of the prestigious Inspire Awards, which celebrates changemakers who've turned their dreams into reality so they can inspire others to do the same. Christine, welcome to the That's Audacious podcast. Could you tell us a little bit more about where you came from and why you started the Inspire Awards?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, beautiful. Look, I think there's so many people out there that I call change makers that are making a difference in other people's lives. And that ripple effect is so immense and they need to be celebrated. It's not about how much money you're earning. It's not about, your status, all those sorts of things. These are the people that are making a difference and they're the ones that truly need to be celebrated.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's a bit sad, isn't it? Can you remember those days back working in corporate where you had incredibly talented people, but they were just like like the cicada cases. When a cicada gets big and it grows and it leaves this little thing behind that it used. They were like, they had no soul and they were just being beaten down by it all. And yet they have so much to give. It's not the same in all corporates. Of course, there are some fabulous corporate businesses out there, but so many people have entrepreneurial souls, but it's sort of beaten out of them in corporate, isn't it?
It is. And I think also too, like, it's not just the entrepreneurial soul, it's also their own soul, like them personally, like they lose that gift, that natural gift that they've got within themselves, like to truly shine. And this is really what we want to give them, like a platform to let them know that you matter, like you're important, look at the difference that you're making. And a lot of the times we don't see it in ourselves, we have other people see the gifts within ourselves before we truly take notice of it.
Yeah, it's true. And we wind up so much. It's that distance between our own ears, isn't it? Is the hardest distance in business. The interesting thing is, as you've grown your brand, you started off Corporate Escapist. It was very much around your own story of how you escaped and how you turned your life around and what you did and so on. But you were saying before, when we were chatting before we started recording, about how you're now starting to attract more than people who are just wanting to escape corporate and start their own thing. It really is the change makers, the dreamers, the people passionate about doing something that they feel closely aligned with. So what do you think it is that stops people actually doing that and going, you know what, I'm going to throw in this big corporate job or this thing that I do for a living and start living my dream?
I think there's obviously people are scared because they hear the horror stories around it, but also too, they're not talking to the right people. They're not talking to the people who are doing it. So I always say to my clients, there's two people you need to talk to. First of all, talk to the most successful business owners that you know, but also to the ones that have gone and tried and may not have succeeded, but they've done it, so that you can get the polar opposite of what there is and really start listening to them. Because as much as we love our family and our friends, but most of the time they're not going to have that edge, to go ahead and actually bet on themselves. So go and find people that are going to be betting on themselves, because they're the ones that are going to bet on you.
Yeah, great advice. And it's funny, isn't it? A lot of the time people's advice who know us really well, those closest to us, the advice they're giving us is how they feel, and they want to be safe and they want to be secure. So they're a bit scared about, when you mention, I'm going to throw in the towel and I'm going to give up my job and go and do this thing. And it's like, that sounds very freaky to me. So they put their own emotions and feelings onto other people. So the interesting thing is that so often we find people afraid of failure. You mentioned before the biggest fear is failure, and yet failure is a big part of success, isn't it? Have you got some stories either from yourself or people you've worked with where, you know, failures led to something else that's been such a success, when they were going, oh my goodness, I never realized I could do this, and I've turned the whole thing around?
Yeah, look, I've interviewed so many amazing. I think we're up to episode 180 on the podcast. So, I mean, 180 people, and they've all got very similar stories where they've had, I call them little hiccups, because, you know, they're monumental at that moment, but there's something that we can go through and we can learn a lesson from it. And what I've found is that that lesson is also more personal. It's more about themselves. You may have had the best business plan, the best marketing, all that sort of stuff, but the mindset may not have been right, or you've listened to the wrong person. So they've all then started to come back to self and started to reevaluate, and who you actually share your dreams with, I think, is really the key message that I got from everybody.
Yeah, brilliant. I like, you've got to have a good support crew around you, and you've got to be your own best cheerleader, haven't you? So much of it's about timing, isn't it? Just the timing being right. So let's talk, on that note, let's talk about the Inspire Awards, which are open right now. If you're listening to this while it's launched, but they tend to open in March. Applications during April, and then they don't close until August, September, with a big event in October. So they're open for, they've got some fabulous categories. But tell me, why did you start these awards? I mean, there's lots of awards out there, Christine, already. Why did you feel you needed another one?
So first of all, I wanted to remove a few different things. First of all is the labels. Like, you know, there's a lot of women in business, men in business, and all that. And I think I really want to break that stereotype and actually think that everybody is equal. So regardless of whether you're men, women, you know, whatever gender you identify as, like, we're all equal. We're all human beings. And as human beings, we're change makers. And really come back down to the power of the story and the ripple effect that you're making in the community. Because I think, like I was saying before, like, you can earn, you know, $100 a week, or you can earn $1 million a week, but your story is the one that's actually creating a legacy and actually allowing you to create that ripple effect. And that's what we want to focus on.
Yeah, I love it. And it comes back to that whole idea of inspiring others, doesn't it? And your categories, you've got 8 categories: community champion, innovative leader, youth inspiration, healthcare hero, environmental advocate, educational excellence, arts and culture influencer, and influential business leader. So many of those categories are all about that influence and that impact you can have. So purpose-driven businesses, people who've started an organization or created a product or a service to create an impact, to have an impact and have an influence. These are the awards you need to be looking at, because there's some fabulous categories for you. So these aren't awards specifically for women or men. They could be any gender, anywhere in the country. You can enter these. So really awesome to have a look at. So please check them out. There will be a link to these underneath the podcast, so you can find out more about them. What are you noticing, Christine, when it comes to awards, given that these that you've started are very much around that impact that you're having, and so you can inspire and motivate others to do the same? What do you see as maybe a trend with other awards that are out there, and what you're doing and how it's a little bit different?
I think the big thing is a lot of people are going, oh, well, I don't earn enough. And honestly, the dollar figure keeps coming up. And this is one of the key things that we wanted to highlight, is to let people know that it's not about the amount of money that you're making. Because, like, we even have volunteers, like, we want to celebrate them, that, you know, they might not think that they're doing something entrepreneurial, but, like, they're creating a massive impact within their community as well. So it's also that, but it's also the comparison, you know, that we do within each other. It's almost like going, oh, but they're going to apply, or I'm not as good as them. And, you know, all those different, you know, self-doubts. Like, I mean, even I have it myself. So I sit there sometimes and I'm like giving myself my own pep talk going, oh, what you done, girl? Like, you know, all this sort of stuff. So, you know, I think, you know, the key message is just, you know, if it's not you, then who is it? Like, you deserve to shine. And that's what we wanted to create, this sort of equal, you know, level playing field for everyone, and focus on you and the impact.
Yeah, I love it. And it is one of the biggest myths with awards, is that, you know, 90% of awards that we know about from the Audacious agency do not ask for financial information. And yet it does seem to be a big barrier for people to go, oh, I'm not doing well enough. You know, I need to have these massive gains and so on. Do you think that's one of the biggest barriers? Are there any other things that stop people entering awards, do you think, Christine?
I think they just don't know what to expect as well. So obviously, like, there's a nomination process and then there's an application process, and a lot of people go, oh my God, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to say. Like, what are the judges looking for? So there's all these additional questions with it. Plus the other part is that if I win, I have to get up on stage, and it's that fear then seeking in, going, oh my God, the attention's on me. Like, I have to go and give a speech, like all those different things. So I think it's also that fear of the unknown of what to say, how to sell yourself with it as well. That's probably one of the next big key things.
Yeah, I love it. And is there a cost to enter, Christine? Is there an entry fee?
Yeah, so there's a small $29 entry fee, but you can enter every single category if you want for that $29. We wanted to make it as affordable for everybody. Obviously, there's a lot of things that go, you would know, Lauren, like, go behind the scenes. So there's just a small charge just to help covering, you know, some of the admin costs and that as well. But, you know, it's not $29 per category, it's $29 flat.
Wow, that's amazing. And what do they have to do? I mean, this is what most people go, oh my goodness, do I have to write anything? Do I have to do interviews? What do I have to do to enter?
Okay, so first of all is to nominate. So either nominate yourself or nominate somebody else. And then we will open up the application process, and we will have 9 questions that you go ahead and answer. And it really is just about being your authentic self. Like, if you picture yourself having a cup of coffee with your best friend and telling them all the exciting things, you know, and answering those questions. And then we ask you to submit a 30-second video. I am so big on videos, and I know a lot of people go, oh my God, I've got to get on camera. But that's how we can actually feel your energy. We can feel your passion and excitement come through the video as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And that's nice because a lot of awards are either one or the other. It's either a video or an interview or something written. And this way you get both, which is so cool. Yeah. You are listening to the That's Audacious podcast. You can find more episodes like this one on our website or wherever you get your favorite podcasts from. Now, Christine, if you could go back in time and ask yourself to give yourself some advice and go, right, what could I tell, maybe to when you started what you're doing with the Corporate Escapists, or it could be when you started the awards, anytime you choose. If you go back and give yourself some advice, what would that be?
The question that I keep asking every day now is what if? So what if I don't do it, and what if I do it? So it's such a powerful question, and it would just be like, well, you've overcome so much. The what ifs, if it's not going to work, sort of are so minute that what if it does work? And it's just more back yourself, because, you know, you underestimate the amount of people cheering you on as well.
Yeah, I love it. What if you didn't win? What if you did win? You know, what would happen? So yeah, absolutely. I love it. So beyond the trophies and the awards presentation and the fact you're nominated and you might be a finalist and so on, what real value do you think there is in people entering the Inspire Awards? What do they get out of it?
So obviously I'm like fortunate because we've got a global platform with the Corporate Escapist. So they actually get featured in our global magazine, which has a readership of over 10 million people. They get interviews on the podcast. It's part of being part of our global community as well. So we're introducing them and putting them on the stage. So it continues not just after the awards, it continues like 1-2 years. I mean, last year was our first award, so I can just see how much it's going to continue. And, you know, we all, the judges learn more about them, you know, I learn more about everybody, and then I can then go ahead and connect all the entrants, the finalists, and the winners to people in my community that they need to connect with as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's awesome, because what we see is about 80% of people who enter awards do little to leverage them. So to have an awards program that also has a platform to broadcast from, that's awesome. That is just like match made in heaven. I love it. And have you got any inspiring stories or words of advice or motivational tips for somebody who might be thinking about entering the awards?
Again, come back to what if. Like, honestly, everybody who won last year did not think that they were going to win. They didn't even think that they would make it as a finalist. So what if they didn't enter? Then they wouldn't have the, you know, opportunity to say that they're a winner of one of the Inspire Awards, be featured in the magazine, you know, on the podcast, and all that sort of additional exposure that they get. So just know that your story matters. And if you need help and advice, reach out to yourself, Lauren, or to me, like, and to anybody, and just like get the ball rolling. You've got to bet on yourself and allow yourself the ability to shine.
I love that. That's so awesome. So it's a really low barrier to entry for these awards, guys. $29 to enter. Lots of fabulous categories. You don't need financials. You can be a startup. You can be in business for a long time. As long as you're making an impact, there's 8 fabulous categories and a really simple 9 questions in a video. It's all you got to do to enter, which is really awesome. And yes, an awesome way to really build your brand and build your profile with an amazing platform and great readership as well. Christine, it's been fabulous to catch up with you, and thank you so much for your insights. Before we leave, would you like to share one moment or interesting insight or tip or tool or action step for people to take?
I think when we've watched the videos, and this is from all the judges, like, they felt it, like they could feel that. So just allow yourself to really be truly authentic, and allow, like I keep saying, like, allow yourself to shine, because it really captures who you are as well.
There's a massive tip there. If you're looking at entering the Inspire Awards, listen to that one, because yes, absolutely. If you can not hide your light under a bushel and not be afraid and shy, if you can be really heartfelt, really authentic and passionate about what you do, that's going to come through your entire entry and give you huge chances of winning. You've just got a huge #1 gold tip there. I love it. Thank you so much, Christine. The details of the Inspire Awards and the Corporate Escapist will be in a link below this podcast. If you want to reach out to Christine, please do so. But make sure you get out there. And as Christine says, what if something magical happened? Just get on and do it. Thank you so much, Christine. It's been awesome to chat to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for listening to the That's Audacious podcast. Remember, there's no place for modesty in business, and you do deserve to be well known, well paid, and wanted. For more episodes, please subscribe to the podcast on your favourite channel or follow us online. The links are in the description below.